Welcome home. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive, celebrating 26 years along with our partners at Curio Wellness and Far and Daughter, as well as Liberty Pure Solutions. 1-800-CLEAN Water is the way we make it happen around here. They take care of all of our plumbing needs, as well as in the North County, anywhere in the area you have well water. They make it taste delicious, make it safe for you. That is Liberty Pure Solutions. We're going to get some politics in here and some election stuff next week as we get ready for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the aftermath of a late night on Thursday, a narrow victory for the Baltimore Ravens over the Cincinnati Bengals. Luke Jones joins us now. He is powered up by our friends at Jiffy Lube Multicare, back and forth, as well as our crab cake tour being powered up by our friends at the Maryland Lottery. I have these scratch-offs to give away. I'll have a whole litany of dates. We're going to have a lot to talk about here over the next 4 years on the American side, and certainly a lot to talk about next couple months on the football side as the defense, Lamar, and then we pick up the pieces. Luke, the kicking game and the special teams play, and we talk about things like pass rush and rushing offense and the greatest offense in the history, and they're going to go on fourth down. And we also have the greatest kicker, and we have the GOAT, and he can kick from anywhere, especially in Detroit. I don't know, man. Missing extra points and stuff. Feels like his confidence is a little weird. And again, you're in the locker room. I'm not. I really do know Justin Tucker. I just don't know him anymore. I'm not allowed to know him anymore. But he was always, dare I say, cocky young man. And confidence is a big part of his deal, I think, from the singing and the playing cornhole and just his personality. There are things I miss about my press credentials. I'm not sure Justin Tucker being one of them or not, but it feels to me when I see him on television, there's something he's not used to, missing kicks. And he went through a little stretch a couple years ago, missed a couple kicks, but like people start to be concerned about a 30-something kicker that's missing extra points now and has lost the long range that he once had. Whether he'll get it back or not, I'm sure he's working as hard to figure this out as anybody, but it feels like his confidence is a little shook.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, even if Justin Tucker wouldn't admit it, I think at this point, how could it not be? And look, I still struggle with this. I don't know exactly what this is, right? I mean, he's not 43 years old where, it's Morton Anderson at the end or Gary Anderson at the end where you're looking at these guys or Matt Stover, for
I was going to say,
example,
Matt, we're here. And
who,
by the way, Matt's partners with Liberty Pure Solutions as well. I was going to say, Matt would have something to say. Every time I talk to Matt about being an old kicker versus a young kicker, it's probably a good week to bring Matt on. I'm going to chase him down.
but certainly Matt did not have the same range later in his career. He famously made the kick in Tennessee in the 2008 season where it was kind of as long as he could kick one, and it's not like that was a 58-yarder, right? So Justin Tucker's not in that category. We haven't seen him come up woefully short on kicks. The missed extra point on Thursday night was another wide left kick. I mean, this feels like something in their operation, something with him, with his swing mechanics, swinging his leg, something with Jordan Stout as a holder. I don't know exactly. Again, to sit here and try to act like I'm Jerry Rosberg or Chris Horton or, Fossil or any of, Kansas City's special teams coordinator, Dave Tobe. I'm not any
Or
of those
Dave
guys.
Tobe's kid or John
Right,
Harbaugh.
exactly. Right, exactly. Or John Harbaugh. Right. So, but it's something, and it's unsettling because again, in the same way we've banged on the defense so much and ragged on the defense so much, and specifically the pass defense, because you have this unbelievable offense and this unbelievable MVP quarterback playing better than he ever has, and this offense that could set all these records. You still need to get 3 points when you need 3 points, or in the case of what happened following the Tylan Wallace play, which was just crazy, right? I mean, it brought back memories of his punt return against the Rams. It ties the game, or you think it's going to tie the game, and then Tucker misses an extra point. Now, let's be very clear. The Ravens scored on their next drive. Mark Andrews catches the touchdown. Lamar runs for two. They wouldn't have gone for two had Tucker made that. So it didn't really have any impact on the game in that way from a scoreboard standpoint because they would have just kicked the extra point there had Tucker made the previous extra point. But again, it's something now, not just in Tucker's head, but if you're John Harbaugh, if you're Todd Monken, I think it looms in the back of your mind a little bit when you see your kicker not being as reliable as he's been. And look, I don't think this is at a point where I don't think we're even particularly close to bringing in other kickers to try out or anything like
Well,
that,
look,
right?
bottom line is next week
But
in Pittsburgh, kicking into the open end because they lose the toss. They're losing 24-22 with 18 seconds left, and Justin Tucker has to make a 49-yard field goal in Pittsburgh to win. How do you feel about it? I guess I still feel really good about it from the bulk of the work and who he is and where he's been and where everybody thinks he's going to the Hall of Fame and like all of that. I guess, but he hadn't had to kick many of them. And if he does, it's because of the damn defense. So I would just say that hasn't been the scenario because they've won games and, they've blown out. They've had blowout wins where he's missed kicks and we don't even talk about it. But there's points we're missing extra points. And this isn't the 17-yard little chip shot that it used to be in Matt Stover's era. They intentionally made it a little bit more thoughtful than that, as well as a 2-point conversion, which is how the Bengals lost the game. I said to my wife, back in the day, they did, twos and eights were like for safeties and weird things. There was no 2-point thing in the NFL. That was such a college thing. And, it certainly changed the pool cards, that my dad would bring home where you got a 0 and a 7 and felt like you could at least win the first quarter. But missing kicks and putting all of that together, I don't think, and this probably, I sound like John Harbaugh now, I don't think it's going to affect the way John coaches at all. He's the kicker. They're going to have him go out on the backfield, work at getting better at it. He's going to put his little thing together and fight through the marching band and kick during. I mean, he only gets judged what? Couple 5-6 extra points. He had 40 of them. He misses one and we're freaked, right? Like literally. And then he gets judged when, oh, Lamar, we're dead on the 41-yard line. Hey, dude, go kick a 58-yarder. We'll give you a shot. But when that happens at the end of the half, it doesn't affect field position. But when it starts to affect field position, and now John has to say, am I on for a 49-yard field goal with 3.5 minutes left to go in the second quarter before I mismanage a timeout or challenge a play I shouldn't? Am I going to punt? Am I going to go on 4th and 4, 4th and 6, 4th and 8? My Falele held on that last player. We'd be down in the red zone now. Like these real game time situations for John and saying automatic. Oh, we stalled at the 38. Dude, that's 55. That's automatic for him. Send him in. We'll take the 3 points on the road. We'll take a 3-point lead here on the first drive of the game. It's quiet. It's sleepy. We're in Cincinnati, old days. Just take the 3 points. It's automatic. Now it's if he misses it, Joe Burrow's got the ball at the 50. Do we really want 3 points? It was at 4th and manageable. And hell, we have Lamar Jackson, so, and Zay Flowers and misdirections and Monken will draw it up, makes it look like Derrick Henry's going that way. And here everybody pulls and Mark Andrews will catch a 14-yard pass on 4th and 4. I mean, Burrow was trying to hit these 4th down things down the field. Like, I don't know how they're going to manage that because they have freight train teams to scoring touchdowns. They go on 4th down. They don't kick a lot. They almost never punt. I mean, the fact that they stalled 3 or 4 drives on Thursday night, a little sleepy and tired, and they actually had to punt, they don't do a lot of that either. So the kicking part of this is not something you and I talk a lot about because they're not in that Tucker's got to make a kick to win the game, even if it's a 38-yard field goal in Pittsburgh next week. It's certainly worth talking about because we don't talk about it much, and we just sort of rubber stamp it and say, well, that's one thing we don't worry about
Right.
around here since the beginning of time, really. If you go Billy Cundiff, not aside, and again, Harbaugh didn't call that timeout. I'll mention that the day they put him in Canton because he's one of the top 10 coaches of all time, according to Tony Romo. I would just say from the kicking perspective, I think it's going to alter John's thoughts as whether and how Tucker looks on the backfields, what John would know about what's going wrong here, that they can all come in the room. Randy comes in and says he's just pulling his foot 0.12% of the arc of the beam of the measurement that we have, and we can correct that. Or yeah, he doesn't have the distance he had, and he's not hitting them on the backfields the way he once did. And he looks like he's hanging his head a little bit, and he's not even drinking Royal Farms coffee. He's drinking Starbucks because I've seen that as well on, social media. So, like, I just wonder when it comes to Tucker how it affects John when the game really is on the line, because there haven't been a whole lot of situations where they've needed Justin Tucker to bail them out lately. It's been Lamar, Lamar, Lamar.
Yeah, that's true. You totally missed an opportunity to mix in launch angle and exit velocity of his kicks, right?
By the
When you were
way,
breaking
I
it down.
met Mr.
But
Rubenstein the other night. I met him over there at Beth DeFillo. It was a beautiful night. I mean, really, like, really a great evening for me to go and sort of witness how all this was going to work for him. But he admitted he doesn't know much about baseball at all. And he openly and this isn't like an economist guy, sort of made fun of war and modern stats in the way that Jim Palmer would, in the way that a 74-year-old guy would, as opposed to a 56-year-old guy that's trying to catch on to a 41-year-old guy. And, like through all of this, but I'm telling you, you're picking on me for being an old guy, and I'm telling you, a guy that owns the team has no use for war or DVOA. By the way, I got to get Aaron shots on that. We have some extra time this week too.
well, and I wasn't trying to get us off track. I just thought it was funny because
Back
as
to
you were,
Justin Tucker. I'm
yeah,
not going to let you avoid
yeah.
this, Randy Brown.
No, I'm not avoiding it. Again, and you alluded to this. It's such a specific subset now in terms of the situations where the Ravens are leaning on Justin Tucker. Uh, to your point, you're in 4th and 1. You have Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. Even if they decide to give the ball to Charlie Kohler on a tush push, as they did in Cleveland, right?
The days of him coming
So
out after a Flacco swing pass to kick another
yeah,
51-yarder to
I
steal
mean,
3 points
there's just
on a
not
on
much
a
of that.
yeah, there isn't. Right.
There's
Yeah.
not. And to your point, a lot of times it's an end of half situation, an end of first half situation where if you miss it, it's disappointing and it raises an eyebrow. But let's face it, that was a big spot there. I mean, Tylan Wallace had completely energized the stadium, and they were on the verge of tying the game, and then he misses an extra point. Now, it wasn't as dramatic, and I'll remind you, Justin Tucker's missed some extra points in his career. The Saints game back in 2018, they lost a game on a missed extra point, in that spot. So again, I don't know how much of it really changes anything, but it's just something that weighs in the back of your mind for Tucker, for Randy Brown, for John Harbaugh, for Todd Monken calling plays. And I think, early in the year, it was these, 50 plus yard kicks, which not all of those are created equal, right? There have been times where you look at it and say he's trying a 59 yarder. That's not a high percentage kick for anyone, but a 51 yarder, that's a different story, right? That's one you got to make more often than not, especially when you're Justin Tucker and you're making big bucks in the same way you'd say that about Butker or Brandon Aubrey in Dallas or any of the top kickers in football. So you look at this and you say, okay, 50 plus, that's one thing. But what he missed, I guess it was a 49 yarder, I guess it was, or earlier this year. Okay, that's a little bit different. Now you're talking about an extra point. Again, go back and look. Justin Tucker's missed some extra points, especially since they moved it to where it is now, which is what, a 33-yard field goal as opposed to a 20-yard field goal, as it was with the extra point at the 2-yard line. So again, this isn't they need to replace Justin Tucker or they need to come work out kickers. I don't think they're anywhere close to that, but it is it leaves you shook a little bit because you are talking about something that has just been something that you've come to expect, and it's a
Like the
compliment to
Ravens
Tucker.
defense.
Right. You literally just took the word. You took the words. I didn't literally because I hate when people do that, but you took the words out of my mouth there because I was just going to say you come to expect a certain standard, and when that isn't the standard anymore, that's when you look at everything else and say, "Oh man, again, they
The
got
hell am I
Lamar in this.
watching out
They
here?
got Lamar in this offense playing at such a high level, but now the pass defense has some major doubts." And I don't want to say major doubts for Justin Tucker. I don't think we're at that point, but it's enough that we're talking about it after a game where, let's face it, he didn't even try a field goal, right? I mean, we're talking about one missed extra point here. So, yeah, it is something that's in the back of your mind, and the fact that he missed another one left, and remember he banged one off the upright against Denver, had another one that looked shaky. So, even some of his makes have looked iffy. It's just not the ironclad 100% Justin Tucker being Justin Tucker that you've come to expect. Now, I'm glad you mentioned this because keep in mind, Justin Tucker's track record in the place formerly known as Heinz Field is superb. A place where even Steelers kickers would tell you over the years how difficult it is to kick there, especially in the open end zone with the way that the winds swirl. And he's made some massive kicks there over the years in the Flacco era or the Lamar era. So it will be interesting if this game presumably, and I expect it to be close because it's AFC North football. And say what you want, as great as the Ravens have been in the Lamar era, they and Pittsburgh's been mediocre to no more than decent, a fringe playoff team in the Lamar era. They've had their issues with the Steelers. Weird things happen in these games. We've seen this over and over. So if they're in a spot where he has to make a big kick, boy, that's going to be a litmus test to say, okay, is this still more aberration than disturbing trend or new reality? So it's again, I don't want to dwell on it too much because it ended up being inconsequential because they got the 2-point conversion on the ensuing touchdown. So no harm, no foul on the scoreboard anyway. But it's hard to forget it. And again, it's one thing to talk about 50 plus yard misses. Those are guys are more erratic from that distance. And even early on, remember the first couple of weeks of the season, there was this big number of 50 plus yard kicks that we've seen regression to the mean across the league there. So I don't think, I think that was overblown generally speaking, across the league. But when you start talking about misses inside 50, and in this case, a miss inside 40, and again, it's an extra point, not a field goal. But
the
look
game
at
was on the line. Yeah. I mean,
right, exactly. And right. But you're looking at someone who going back to 2018, and I can even make this, bring the splits in his career. He has only missed 3 field goals from inside 40 yards. This was not a field goal, understood. But to your point, it was a higher leverage kick than your typical extra point, knowing the spot there, knowing they were trying to come all the way back from 14 down, and they had just had this unbelievable play by Tylan Wallace, and everyone's thinking you just tied the game until he misses, and you realize you didn't tie the game. So it's
is that kind of like when Matt Stover missed the kick in Miami?
Yeah, I mean, it's in the back of everyone's mind.
It's crazy, like in this franchise that we talk about this kick being made, that kick being missed.
Oh, sure.
But we don't have a lot of missed kicks. I mean, aside Billy Cundiff
and Steve Hauschka.
You mentioned the Saints game a couple of years. Steve Hauschka in Minnesota. I was there for that. Yes.
He struggled.
I mean,
yep.
Yeah, and Graham Gano was a guy that was around. Like they've had a pedigree here, right? Of doing this and doing it so well that we memorably remember the memorable ones. And this franchise has been so good. Game's been on the line. But, dude, missing an extra point that ties the game in the fourth quarter, ouch. I can't remember a whole lot of that happened around here. And, again, it used to be like a real chip shot. It used to be a layup.
Right.
It used to be really automatic, 99% kind of automatic. It's not anymore. But that never affected Justin Tucker. You know what I mean? It still felt like a chip shot here, and it wasn't.
Yeah, and again, this happened in 2018. They lost to the Saints. That game in Baltimore, he missed an extra point, and that that was shocking, absolutely shocking. So for me, when you see Tucker miss, or you see someone that is, whether you're talking about a unit or a player, do something that surprises you, you want to see how they respond, right? And that's where this Tucker thing is getting a little, it's a thing. I don't think it's a massive thing just yet, but
But I think the
it's a
massive part
thing,
comes into the decision making
right?
that
Or just between his
if
ears.
he misses the kick, they get the ball at the 50-yard line. What that does situationally
Sure.
in a close game, And look, piss on Pittsburgh in first place. We can talk about the fine. The Harbaugh's brother out in San. Both of those teams play defense. They play
Yeah.
defense, and they were going to challenge you in the middle of the field, and then it's going to be
Might hold you to a
decision
few more field
making.
goals.
There's going to be two or three decisions in the next couple of weeks to say, do we go, stay, kick, which way the field is, what's the score, what's the game situation. And for the first time ever, it's not just, well, it's inside 60, just send them out there. Like that went on for a decade here, dude. That ain't ever gone on in the history of the game. Go awaken Bill Walsh and Lombardi and anyone else. I mean, even the Coryell and the eras where they lit it up a little bit more and played AFL football, um, there haven't been a whole lot of coaches that have had as easy as John Harbaugh, and he'd say it, being a special teams rooted coach, to say, I got a kicker that inside is 60. I'll send him out there in any scenario because you know what? He's not going to miss the kick. And
Yeah.
so I don't have to worry about turning the ball over, and I don't have to worry about 7 or 3. In the Flacco era, dude, they just went and stole points. They stole points. At the end of every week, I'd be looking down the card and seeing 51, 53, 55. He makes them all.
Yeah.
But you know what that is? That's a crappy ass drive where somebody picked the ball off and gave Flacco the ball at the 45, and they ran on first down, went incomplete on second down, and on 3rd and 8, they had to look up and say, oh, we're still at the 41. Let's kick a 58-yarder, steal 3 points here, try to hang in. Let's try to win 21-19. I don't that era's gone, but I
Yeah.
think so's the decision making on Tucker at 35 2 weeks from now. He's 34, he'll be 35 on the 21st. So next weekend when they get together, Pittsburgh will be the last kicking of his 34th year. I don't know what that means, but I mean, at some point, it shouldn't mean that he's missing extra points.
Yeah. And
That's why I'm
again,
saying it's in the head when you're missing extra points.
right. And again, it's his first missed extra point of the season, so I don't want to make too much of it, but it's on top of, some of the early misses he had, on top of, a couple not so great looking kicks last week, and, he had a miss the week before that. So, I mean, it's,
And this
we'll
is a team
see.
that measures everything. Every kick
Well,
he's out there kicking on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Randy, they have 2 special teams coaches. I mean,
sure.
like they're measuring. You give me the crap about launch angle and all of the
No,
baseball stuff,
I was saying that as a funny thing. I thought you should have used that just because it would have been funny to hear you say launch angle and exit velocity for a kicker,
Look,
right?
look. I'm
Which they
sure
track
there
those
are.
things.
Listen,
They track
I'm
those
sure if
things.
I watch the Golf Network, I would have
Yeah.
other metrics
Oh
for
yeah.
whatever that all of that is, because that's Matt Stover always explained it to me like a golf game. I mean, literally leg and follow through and every nuance that people like Justin Tucker have forgotten more. They've forgotten so much about it that I am the idiot in the corner trying to ask them questions about stuff that I'm trying to break it down so fans understand it, because I don't understand every nuance of it. They do, though. And when it breaks down in a key situation, when they have 3 extra days to break such things down, and they're going to Pittsburgh, and he's turning 35, this is something that you and I aren't the only ones talking about it. It better be getting talked about in Owings Mills to some degree, because I think it's going to alter their decision making.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's been a topic of discussion even before that. But look, I'm still not panicked over it. I'm not suggesting you are. Let's get to the important things, though. What did you think of the uniforms? What did you think of the helmet?
Okay,
I was
okay,
done talking about Justin Tucker.
okay. It's
Sorry.
fine. It's fine. It's fine. You segue anytime you want. You're Luke
Yeah.
Jones, right? So
Normally you're the one who segues, so I had a chance to do it. I
that's
was happy
fine,
to do
man.
them.
Dude, anytime you want to host the show, come on in. I'm a better guest than a host. Let's go. Um, First things first. And I said this in the pregame on Thursday. You and I got together very early in the morning and did one long segment. Um, I was always of the belief that that logo should have been the primary logo on their helmet. And I told my wife this, and I'm going to brag a little bit and be a little bit of a jerk because it's revisionist history. But the week that the logo, it became clear that the guy who drew the thing and had to be in the crest, that David was, and David and I were famously very close. And I remember David, and we had so many more conversations off the air than we ever had on the air. Like we had a lot on the air in the beginning, and then once Steve came in, he became much more of a private figure in my life. So I had hundreds of hours and dinners. We were very close. But David, at that point, his private answer to me over the dispute and all of that was, we're not going to play with a disputed marking. That's what he said to me. That wasn't like any legal issue. It was the way he talked about it. And we're going to get a new logo. And I'm like, all right. I mean, I thought the crest thing was fine, but like come up with something. I mean, all right, you get to do it all over again, sell some more ish, right? So, and this is right before we're going to the Super Bowl. They're still considered the lousy Ravens because, dude, not everybody's old like you and me. These kids, they don't know. These barstool idiots, they don't know. People that eat seafood at the wrong side of Dundalk, they don't know. They don't know. They don't know. They don't know. They don't even know who to vote for. But nonetheless, the real history of this is the the logo that we know the Ravens, and I'm trying to this is the kiss face logo. I'm holding the lottery ticket up. I don't even have like the regular logo because I burned all my stuff after Chad Steele threw me out of my seats that I paid for. I don't have like a regular Raven logo. I used to have it on my wallet. The this, I call it the sickle. I don't know what else to call it. The half moon bee side bird that was always weird because of the way the bee worked on both sides of the helmet being left and right for me. There was a backward logo that always looked a little weird. Steelers don't have to worry about that because they only wear it on one side of their head.
Hmm.
Um, I told David at that time they were going to do it in the sun. And I'm like, dude, that kiss face logo, that's pimp. Put that on your side of your thing. Red eyes, gold beak. Let's go. I went on a vacation that was before I was married. I went on vacation. It's 1999, I guess, 8, 9. You do the math. You look it up. I know the era. Um, and I came back from a week of being away, and it was the week that the Sun did the mail in, vote in, call in thing. And I never said my piece. I never like went on the radio for a week and said, I just thought the Kiss Face was going to win, dude. Kind of like I thought there was no chance that this criminal could become president again. Like I just thought, nah, I mean, nah. Like I looked at the side sickle thing with the bee and I looked at this angry ass bird that we've been looking at that you saw on the helmet. I always, 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 always preferred the logo that was on the helmet Thursday night. I always thought that should have been so, and I always thought the helmet should be purple. Always. Always. I mean, and especially when they went to the second helmet, when they went to this different logo, the second logo in 99, I said to David, I'm like, you're out there wearing the white. The whole idea was to wear the purple because can I say something nice about David? Because we're stretching here, but I want to do this because it's very you mentioned the Maryland and Kevin Plank and Under Armour and all of that. David was the original fashionista. You know what I mean? David brought Rebecca Romaine in to do a photo shoot. Google it with Vinny Testaverde
I remember
and a
that.
very, very young Ray Lewis.
Yeah.
David did a showcase with the jerseys over at the Galleria that the Orioles did when they put Baltimore. Finally, after our radio station killed them and I lost my media credential, put Baltimore back on the road jerseys, which these kids just they don't realize how much blood I have on the bricks about all this and how I sort of snicker about all of knowing all of this stuff, especially knowing the humans. And I'm never going to know David Rubenstein or he didn't care. People don't care about me. I don't care about them. But the original idea with the Ravens jerseys was purple and birds and angry and like all of this stuff. And then when David got sued, it really kind of chipped him up a little bit because I think he really, whatever went on, he thought it was like bougie to the day he died. He's like, I didn't steal anything. It was ridiculous. But if we're going to change it, let's change it. But the B had to be part of it. The B had, in David's mind, so even if the Sun poll said the Kiss face was number one, I mean, I didn't spike the ball on the Kiss face, and I was the only one doing relevant sports radio at that time. There was no internet. There was a Sun poll, and I went away on vacation and came back, and I was like, I remember even saying to David, I'm like, what's wrong with you, dude? That Kiss face is like should be on the helmet. And when you wear these white jerseys, white on white, the Dwayne Starks Super Bowl white, there's no purple. Well, we'll make the piping a little more purple. Dude, there's no purple. We look like the mean machine. And they won the Super Bowl in those so God bless them. And every time I see it, I see that little bit of purple in Ray Lewis on that 52. But they weren't purple enough for me. So I thought all along it should have been Kiss face, purple helmet. I didn't care if it was matte purple. I didn't even care if we stole the Vikings purple. We had a different color palette than them anyway. But I liked purple helmets. I like Kiss Bird. So I am a massive proponent of the look in a general sense on a traditional purple shirt, white pants, normal, not this color rush gold. Like, I don't like the kit. So you're asking about Thursday night? I don't like the kit. I love the helmet. I did think this, and I never tweeted this. And after my long, loving soliloquy of David Modell and how much he loved logos and how much he wanted it to be Baltimore's team and that he'd be rolling over in his grave to know how poorly I've been mistreated after being the only one that could tell these stories 30 years later. But I couldn't believe that David selected the B. I couldn't believe that the Kiss face didn't win the poll. And my biggest observation on Thursday's helmet and all that is the logo felt really small on the helmet.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I kept seeing is it felt like the Kevin Byrne press box. It felt like a mini version of this sort of like little tiny heart logo looking thing in the middle of the helmets, which now feel more small and sleek, and everybody has a different helmet, right? But it felt like the logo should be 15 or 20% bigger in the middle of the helmet, and that somehow something needs to make it stand off of the purple a little bit more to be a little angry, or maybe some more white splotches in it or some silver or something like that. But I would just say, I love the Kiss helmet. I always love the Kiss helmet. Yeah, they almost got their ass beat. The defense didn't play. People
Yeah.
didn't like but there's my 6 minutes on 30 years of Raven history with logos and helmets. I think if they put that helmet on a purple and white and did it appropriately, it'd look hot.
Yeah. I like the logo. As I said to you in our pregame, it's front facing though. It's tough. I much prefer a profile logo. Like, I think of, to your point, and I understand the Ravens, the regular logo, it looks a little wonky on the side where you have to change the direction of the way the bird's facing with the B. But it that logo didn't look great to me on a helmet. I like the logo itself. I've always liked that secondary logo. But I am so that part aside, wholeheartedly agree. The logo needs a little more white because I can tell you, and obviously you joke because I'm up in the corner of the end zone now in the press box, but from afar, it looked like just a purple helmet. You
It's a
couldn't
black
really see the logo.
decal on a
Yeah,
on a yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So it needed to be bigger, and I think it does need a little more white to it. Couple thoughts. I honestly like that purple, the matted purple look. Certain times the light would hit it, and it didn't look like it matched the jerseys perfectly, but that might just be me. Because I had some people in the press box disagree with me on that. So whatever, maybe I'm partially colorblind or something. I don't know. But a couple thoughts or suggestions as we're workshopping this, and this is funny that we're spending as long as we are, but why not? I'm the fashion tweets guy anyway. But
They can
I've
listen
thought,
to us bitch about the defense or
oh
praise
no, it's fine.
Lamar. We can
I
do
mean,
all that.
it's
We got
no,
10
this is
days.
fine. But a couple things. I'd like to see what the regular logo would look like on that helmet. I still think that could look really sleek, just as a change of pace, even just with, and the Steelers have, they've done a gold helmet, as an alternate look, going back
Oh,
years,
there are no
years ago.
rules anymore. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
there really
exactly.
are no
I
rules
mean, the
anymore.
Packers have a white helmet now,
They
so,
wear I mean, all these teams
but
wear
I'll
whatever the
throw it,
hell they want. I mean,
I'll
I've seen
throw
the
another,
Padres City Connect. I mean, just
yeah,
the NBA. I mean, Ovechkin was wearing the
most
logo
of it's
everybody
terrible.
hated, and they thought it looked regal. I'm like, the
Most of it's
Screaming
terrible.
Eagles, trash for a Caps fan.
For every home run, and most of the times it's the really sleek throwbacks that are really the best. Like, for example, the Eagles have started wearing their Kelly green again as a throwback. That's a great uniform. I mean, it just is. Whether you like Philly or not, I mean, it just is. But the other suggestion, and I can't take credit for this because I saw a couple people mention this on my social media. I'd like to see that what the shield would look like on that helmet. The BNR shield, the midfield shield as an alternate,
You mean the
helmet
one? You
logo.
mean this one right here? Yeah, I got you. The crest, right? You're
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
yes.
I mean, their midfield logo.
Then
What
they
they
look
have
like
on their
Maryland. They look.
sleeves.
It would be perfect.
No, I'm
Bashadi could
just
feel
saying
like he owns Maryland too.
as an alternate, I wouldn't want to see that as their primary logo. Their primary helmet logo. But I'd like to see what that. But it was fine. To your point, if they had lost, I'm not sure the defense is feeling it, right? And the color rush, I don't like the gold numbers because, as I often say about all these different alternate uniforms, oftentimes, and college teams are so guilty of this, it's awful. And I'm not talking Maryland specifically, but just in general, when you see it, so many of these uniforms look good in the photo ops, right? All the press release email photos that they send out, the stock photos they send out, until you see them on the field and you see how it shows up on TV, and especially when you're in the crowd and you can't read the numbers well enough. The Ravens gold isn't that bad that you can't read it, but it's tough to read. At least I found that even from the old press box. So,
It'd be like the
I
Andy Warhol tomato can, and he's from Pittsburgh,
yeah,
so I'm giving a little Pittsburgh
yeah,
preview this week. That if it were 11 tomato cans, it would look crappy. Like
yeah,
the photo op of one jersey,
yeah.
something 12 grapes running around out there, and or 11 in this case, 12 in one play. But
Yep.
but
Forcing a timeout.
right, yeah, but 12 stacks of grapes out there, it looks a little weird. And by the way, I'll leave you with this because I got to go to the bathroom after such a long segment here and get a helmet out of me. Too much Royal Farms coffee here. If you take that helmet and you fix it, the purple helmet, and get it right with the kiss face on it, to me the only thing that would make the kit better would be to try the mustard pants again. That's all. You bring
No,
those back,
no,
right? And the
no,
purple helmet. Come on now. Come on. I
nope.
still love the
This is me
mustard
shaking my
pants.
head. No,
I
you're the
love
only
the
one.
mustard pants.
You're the only
They
one.
just didn't play well.
No, they're terrible. They're terrible. Those
All right.
pants look like the color of
You know
baby
what I
poop.
need to do? I need to bring Todd Radham back on here. He had almost wound up at Game 5 of the World Series together in New York, but we didn't. But he's the logo guy. He lives in Philly now. He's my cheesesteak buddy. I'll bring him on, and we'll speak this out because it's on the tip of my tongue with Ovechkin wearing throwbacks this week, and it's on the tip of my tongue every week. To your point, the Eagles looked great last week. The Eagles look like, hey, where's Randall Cunningham, man? Bring back
Where's
Keith
Reggie
Byers.
White?
What's going on here? Let's go. Let's go. That's where Baldy wore that uniform, so you know it was good. I am Nestor. He is Luke. It's a long weekend. It's gonna be a long 4 years. It's gonna be a long 2 months here. It's certainly a long 10 days getting ready for Pittsburgh next week and watching Russ bake and Danger Russ in Pittsburgh. And take the rest while you have it, Ravens fans. Enjoy the games on Sunday. Enjoy the game on Monday night. Enjoy the hot stove baseball talk. And when Mr. Rubenstein's going to get in on Juan Soto, we'll have it all together here. I am Nestor. He is Luke. There you go. Special teams, fashion tweets. after a 35-34 victory. We're Baltimore positive. We talk about the important stuff here.